What if you want something more like that Placatstall trick of partially obscuring the product name with the product? Well, I have to make some changes here. For my background image, I can change the object layer option so that it has no background at all. I'm going to put that other bottle back in. And then I'll put the logo at the top. Let's go full Placatstall on this one, and I'll make this bigger. I'm scaling by holding the Shift key and the Control or Command key while I drag the frame, because that scales both the image frame and the image. Let's move that right up to the top. I think I could go a little bigger. Double click to get into here, using the top reference point so it stays aligned at the top. Hope it does anyway. Lock the proportions and scale this up until the logo is the full width of the live area. And actually, it'd be about there. I had to use my keyboard arrows to kind of scoot that a little bit to make sure that it's where I want it. I have a bottle in the background, and I have a Gaussian blur filter applied to it, so I may just leave that. I'm going to set this stuff aside for a minute. I think what I have to do is, selecting my PSD file here, right click on it and edit original in Photoshop. And in Photoshop, I think what I want to do is possibly move this bottle group over, the bottle and its shadow. Command T transform. Smart filters will be shut off during this transformation. With these constraints, I'm going to make this about 90% of that size, I think, and put it about there. And 95%. I just need it just a little bit smaller than it was. Just grab my move tool, that will accept that change. Now that I've moved this a bit away from the salad, I think I might have to move that shadow, rename that right bottle so I don't get confused. And its shadow, I just need to move it a little because it's sticking out in front of the bottle too much. And to unlink that, Command T transform, distort, just pull this in a little so that that shadow isn't sticking out on that side. That doesn't look right. Then I can relink that gradient mask. I'm going to put it right about there. I think that'll work out. Command S save, and I'll close that. Go back to InDesign and it updates immediately. And now what I have to do is turn off the backgrounds, both backgrounds off, layer 1 and layer 4. And then in my layer palette, I'm going to move the image in front of the logo, or I can move the logo behind the image. Now this one here is kind of a problem. I'm going to have to just turn that off. So right click, layer options, and turn off the left bottle. And that gives me more room for my ad copy. I just think maybe, now that I see how this works, I'm going to right click on this again and once more edit the original. And let's see. I just want to move this bottle down a little bit because I would like the logo to be more visible through the bottle. So I could do that, and then I can put my copy in here. And now I'm probably going to want something other than white text, so I'll make this all black. I don't need this big gap here, so I'll remove that space after. What we got here is a space before of 8 points. This can be smaller. The 14 point would be considered large. 16, actually 16 maybe, would be considered fairly large for ad copy, but that's okay. There's not much copy. It was 16 on 24, so it's again kind of loose spacing. I think this could be possibly the red from the label there. I think probably I could try about a 2 pica indent on either side, and then I just might make this larger. and spread it out more. Now I sort of would like to have a gradient in here, so I could take my eyedropper, select the background color from the label with my eyedropper, then perhaps make a gradient out of that by dragging this swatch to my swatch palette. Again, this comes in as RGB, so I would double click on that and change that from RGB to CMYK, and then just pull off the gradient palette. This will be a little easier. Take my swatch palette, drag this onto my gradient, pull off the black, and then perhaps a 75-degree angle. That might work, but unfortunately having a background in here means my logo's disappeared, so I haven't got it between the bottle and background, which means what I would need to do is add this gradient to my swatches, but I don't want the gradient fill there, so I'm going to make that no fill. Drag another rectangle which I apply that gradient to. Again, I want that gradient at a 75-degree angle, I think. And I'll put that here, stretch it out to meet the bleed lines. Command Shift open bracket, send it to the rear. Just might move this up a little bit. It's a little crowded down there. And then this would be my ad. And there it is in preview mode. So that's another possibility.